The dry wind carried whispers through the small dusty town as the sun dipped low behind the distant hills. Marigold's heart pounded in her chest, not from excitement or hope, but from a heavy, suffocating dread. At 19, she was about to walk down the aisle to a man she barely knew, an Apache warrior named Takoda, from the tribe beyond the river, a union forced upon her by her family, by the town's elders, by tradition. Her fingers trembled as she adjusted the thin white veil over her dark hair, the fabric doing little to mask the storm brewing inside her. The weight of the past year pressed down relentlessly. Her father's debts, whispered threats, and the desperate bargain her mother struck to save what little was left of their family. The townsfolk gathered silently around the weathered chapel, their faces a mix of curiosity, judgment, and something darker, a shared unease none dared voice. They watched Marigold, a fragile figure in a worn dress, escorted by her older brother Jacob. No one spoke. No one smiled. The air was thick with unspoken questions. What would this marriage bring? Could this union heal the wounds between the settlers and the Apache, or deepen the scars? Inside the chapel, Takoda waited, tall, silent, his gaze steady but unreadable. He was nothing like the stories the town told. No savage brutes, only a man shaped by a world they could not understand. Yet, to Marigold, he was a stranger, a symbol of the unknown future thrust upon her. As the ceremony began, her thoughts drifted to the countless nights she spent staring at the ceiling, wondering what her life could have been, free, filled with laughter and dreams of love. Instead, here she was, trapped in a web of duty and fear. Then came the moment, the exchange of vows solemn and quiet. And just as the priest pronounced them husband and wife, Takoda reached into his satchel and pulled out a small, wrapped bundle. The crowd leaned in, curiosity sparking despite the heavy silence. Marigold's breath caught. What was inside that package? A gift? A warning? The mystery hung in the air, thickening the tension, as the whole town waited breathless for what would come next. The chapel fell deathly silent as Takoda carefully untied the rough leather strings binding the small bundle. Marigold's eyes darted between the crowd and the mysterious package, her heart pounding louder than ever. Whispers curled on the edges of the silence, but no one dared to speak. Slowly, Takoda unfolded a piece of weathered cloth, revealing a delicate necklace. It was unlike anything the town had ever seen, an intricate blend of silver and turquoise, shaped like a soaring eagle with outstretched wings. The craftsmanship was exquisite, glowing softly in the fading sunlight streaming through the stained glass windows. Marigold's breath hitched. The eagle was a symbol of freedom and courage among the Apache, but to her, it seemed like a beacon of something more, hope perhaps, or challenge. Takoda stepped forward and gently placed the necklace around her neck. His hands were steady but warm, the touch unfamiliar yet strangely comforting. Their eyes met for a brief moment, his dark, steady gaze searching hers for a flicker of acceptance, or maybe understanding. The crowd held their breath. Some faces softened, others remained guarded, but no one could deny the weight of that moment. Marigold's fingers instinctively touched the cool pendant, her mind racing with questions. Why this gift? What did it mean? And why did it suddenly feel like the first thread of connection in a world that felt so cold? Just as the silence began to break, a sharp knock echoed from the chapel door, startling everyone. The heavy wooden door creaked open, revealing a messenger, a young boy, breathless and wide-eyed. In his trembling hands was a sealed letter addressed to Takoda. The priest's voice faltered as he stepped aside, and Takoda's face darkened as he broke the seal and unfolded the letter. The room tensed, sensing something dangerous hidden in those words. Marigold's heart clenched. The wedding gift had silenced the town. But now, this letter threatened to shatter whatever fragile peace they had found. Takoda's eyes scanned the letter quickly, the lines of his face tightening with every word. The silence in the chapel grew heavier, the tension almost unbearable. Finally, he folded the letter carefully and looked up, his gaze locking with Marigold's. "This message," he began, voice low but steady, "is from my tribe's council. There are dangers coming, threats that could tear us apart if we're not careful." A ripple of unease passed through the crowd. The fragile truce between the town and the Apache was always fragile, but now it seemed more fragile than ever. Marigold swallowed hard, her fingers tightening around the eagle necklace. Suddenly, the mysterious gift took on a new meaning. It was not just a symbol of freedom, but a shield against the unknown. Takoda stepped closer to her, his presence a silent promise of protection. "You must understand," he said quietly. "This marriage is more than just a union between us. It's a bond between our peoples, and it carries a heavy responsibility." She looked up at him, searching the depths of his eyes, and found something unexpected, gentleness beneath the warrior's exterior. For the first time, fear mingled with a cautious hope. But the letter was a warning. Whispers of a rival faction within the tribe who opposed peace, who believed bloodshed was the only way to survive. They would stop at nothing to break the alliance, and to claim Takoda's place as leader. As the sun set and shadows stretched long across the chapel floor, Marigold realized her life had changed forever. The wedding gift was not just a necklace. It was a symbol of the fight ahead, and she would have to find strength she never knew she had to stand beside the man she was forced to marry. The chapel emptied slowly as the townspeople murmured among themselves, the weight of the evening's revelations settling over everyone. But Marigold and Takoda remained, standing close in the dim light, the eagle necklace resting between them like a silent witness to the storm around them. Takoda reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Marigold's face. "I know this isn't what you wanted," he said softly, "but I promise you, together, we can face whatever comes." Marigold's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Fear still gnawed at her heart, but beneath it, something new was blooming. Trust. She nodded slowly, feeling the warmth of his hand against her cheek. "I don't know what the future holds," she whispered, "but I want to try, not just for the town, not just for our peoples, but for us." He smiled, a rare, genuine smile that lit up his dark eyes. "Then we start now, not as strangers forced together by fate, but as partners, as something stronger." Outside, the first stars appeared, twinkling like distant promises. The mysterious gift around her neck seemed to pulse softly with the promise of hope. As they stepped out of the chapel into the cool night, the world felt different. No longer just a place of fear and obligation, but a place where love could take root in the most unexpected of soils. And though danger still lurked beyond the horizon, Marigold felt something she hadn't before: courage. Because sometimes the most powerful gifts are not the ones we expect. They are the ones that awaken the heart. The night wrapped the town in a heavy silence, but beneath the calm, shadows stirred. Marigold lay awake in the small room she now shared with Takoda, the necklace resting against her collarbone like a steady heartbeat. The warmth from earlier lingered, but so did the uncertainty. Takoda sat nearby, sharpening his knife with practiced precision, his eyes occasionally flicking toward her. "They won't stop," he murmured, voice rough but steady. "The faction against us, they want this marriage to fail. They want to ignite the old hatred." Marigold swallowed her fear, her fingers brushing the pendant once more. "Then we won't let them," she said quietly. "Together." Takoda's gaze softened, and he reached out, taking her hand in his. "You're stronger than you know, Marigold." Days passed in a fragile routine, the town holding its breath as tension simmered. Whispers of sabotage and threats grew louder, and Marigold found herself caught between two worlds: her own people's doubts and the fierce loyalty of Takoda's tribe. One evening, under the cloak of twilight, Takoda led her to a secret place by the riverbank, a clearing surrounded by ancient trees, where the stars above felt close enough to touch. "This is where I come to think," he said, "where I feel connected to my ancestors." Marigold looked around, the soft rustle of leaves and the gentle flow of water calming her restless heart. "I want you to have this," Takoda said, reaching into his pouch. He pulled out a small feather, delicate and pure white. "It's from the eagle in the necklace," he explained. "A symbol of trust and protection. I give to you now, not as a gift, but as a promise." Her heart swelled, the gesture bridging the chasm between fear and love. But just as she leaned in to close the distance between them, a sudden rustling shattered the quiet. Figures emerged from the shadows, men from the rival faction, their faces grim and eyes filled with anger. Takoda stood, placing himself between Marigold and the threat. "This isn't over," he warned, voice low and dangerous. Marigold's grip tightened on the feather, the weight of the necklace grounding her. In that moment, fear gave way to courage. The fight for their future was just beginning. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, painting the sky in soft hues of pink and gold. The battle from the night before had left scars, both on the land and in the hearts of those who lived here. But it had also forged something stronger between Marigold and Takoda. As they stood together at the edge of the river, the eagle necklace gleaming in the morning light, Marigold felt a calm she had never known. The fear that had once chained her was replaced by a quiet strength, and a love that had blossomed against all odds. Takoda took her hand, his grip firm but gentle. "We fought not just for ourselves," he said, "but for everyone who believes in peace." She smiled, the warmth in her chest growing with each passing moment. "I'm ready now," she whispered, "ready to face whatever comes next, with you by my side." The town, once silent and wary, began to stir with new hope. Neighbors exchanged nods, and even the elders who had doubted found themselves softened by the courage and unity displayed. Marigold knew the road ahead would still hold challenges, but the mysterious wedding gift, the eagle necklace, was more than a symbol. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, love and courage could rise like the dawn. As they walked back toward the town, hand in hand, the past shadows faded behind them, and the promise of a new beginning stretched out before them like the endless sky. Their story was just beginning.